Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles. I want to welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and where we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And in today's episode, this is another first for the channel today. So today we're going to be talking about Batman: The Long Halloween Late Review. So that's the topic I want to get into in today's video. But before we get into that, I want you guys to please make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell to be notified whenever we drop our content. Also, make sure you go ahead and check out Dreamerspro Max, a sports community we created, a place where you can go and start basketball discussions or sports discussions, talk about games and chat during games, and so many other cool things. So if you guys are interested in that, be sure to check that out. We have that linked in the description below. Anyway, so let me get into this topic here. First of all, let me say this, that for the people that are new to the channel, for the people that are seeing this content for the first time, let me just quickly say this. I am a huge Batman fan. A huge Batman fan. Ask anyone in my family, ask my mom, ask my sister, they'll all tell you. I'm a huge Batman fan. I became a fan of Batman as a kid, actually. And it all started with the Batman animated series, which actually ran from 1992 to 1995. Now I'm 34 years old, so I must have been, I don't remember how old I was then, maybe 5, 6. I don't remember how old I was, 7. I don't remember. But that's really when I started watching Batman as a kid, right? That was my first introduction. Now I saw some other iterations of it, but that's really the one that got me hooked to Batman as a kid. Was the Batman animated series, Kevin Conroy, and I still think he has the best Batman voice of any Batman, and that's the reason why you see him show up in so many of the movies, with his voice, because it's just so iconic. Now, just to show you how much of a fan I am, Batman, actually, The Dark Knight, is also my favorite movie of all time. Of all the movies I've seen in my life, that movie is my favorite movie. And I've watched every single Batman movie, and I've watched every single animated Batman movie. Every single one of them. I've seen all of them multiple times. My favorite animated movies, like the cartoon movies, are, well, my favorite, the top two are obviously Batman: The Mask of the Phantasm. Anybody that calls himself a Batman fan will love that movie. That movie was a masterpiece. Batman: The Mask of the Phantasm and Batman Year One. These two are my favorite movies. I think Batman Year One, I know there's most of these movies are made, they're adaptations of what happened in the comic books. I just wish they had like a year two, because it was so good. If anybody who saw Batman Year One, you guys will say the same thing. I've played all of the Batman games. I have all of the Batman Arkham Asylum games. The second one that they had, Batman Arkham Asylum, not the first one, the second one. When I played that game, I was like, this is a masterpiece. This game is a master. When I was playing that game for the very first time, I felt like I was Batman playing that game. It was eerie just how good that game was, and that game received a lot of critical acclaim. So given the fact that I'm a huge fan, given the fact that I've watched a lot of these movies, it's only right that I'll be a junkie waiting for this next movie, Batman: The Long Halloween. Now, I do know that this movie was an adaptation from a comic book which I did not read, and I never read comic books. I never followed comic books. I read a few, but I never really went deep into it. And I know there's a whole group of people out there that read all the comic books, and I never went that deep. However, though, I was aware of some of the characters in this movie, given the fact that some of them came from the Arkham Asylum games. If you guys played the second Arkham Asylum game, you know that Calendar Man and all of this, these guys come from that. At least that's where I heard of him for the first time. So I was very eager to watch this movie, and I did. So here's my kind of review. Now, let me quickly say this. We have never done a movie review ever before, so this is our first time, so bear with us. Obviously, if you guys have any critiques and anything constructive criticism that you want to give, we will be very happy to hear it in the comment section, so we can see how we can improve and see ultimately if our viewing audience enjoys this type of content. So first of all, let's talk about the art direction. Before I go too far into that, I want to say that I did go to an art high school. My high school was in New York, called Art and Design, and I studied animation. So I did animation in high school. I know how to do animation. I drew a lot when I was in high school, so I kind of appreciate these movies from the standpoint of an artist, somebody that used to draw. So if we're talking about this movie, first of all, I want to talk about the art direction. I liked the fact that the movie had this very dark overtone. I think it was very Batman-esque. I think Batman is meant to be a dark character if you look at some of his best movies, even if you look at the Christopher Nolan movies, it was very dark lit. Most of the time, you know, those scenes that they had at night really, really encapsulated what Batman was all about, right? I didn't like this colorful kind of Batman. Batman is meant to be dark. And I like the fact that they kind of took that tone for this movie. I like the animation style that I saw in this movie, right? Now, this is a bit technical, and also I don't know how well I'm going to be able to explain this, but I like the animations. I like the fact that the animations were very fluid, especially with some of the chase scenes. Batman seemed to be a little bit agile, but obviously he was also a bit clunky, given the fact that it looks like, from what I was able to glean from watching this movie, it looks like it was still very early on in his career as Batman. I like the way the story progressed. It progressed at a nice pace. It wasn't too slow, it wasn't too fast, but it kept me guessing the entire way. And to be quite honest with you, I was just as confused as Batman was watching that entire movie. And I think that's what they were able to pull off very well, because you could tell that Batman's detective skills were not as refined as he probably was when he was a much older Batman, right? You could tell that he was still kind of one step behind the entire movie, just like the rest of the audience. And I think obviously that it takes that comes from skill, right? These guys that make these movies know exactly what the heck they're doing. And for me to feel like I was one step behind the entire movie, pretty much the same way Batman was, and Batman felt like, it almost seemed like a lot of the characters in the movie were kind of making fun of Batman, like, you don't get it yet? You still don't know who he is? Even a normal thug was like, you still don't know who's doing this? You still don't know who's doing that? Even the Joker was able to pick up on who was making all of the, who was the one that was making all of the killings, it seems, right? But I also like the fact, I liked how they introduced the Joker into the movie. I also liked for the first time that I was able to actually understand the motivation of the Joker in this movie. In some movies in the past, and some comic book adaptations that went into movies, you don't really understand why the Joker is doing what he's doing. A lot of those movies, you see the Joker in them, you feel like you get the sense that they wanted to put the Joker in a movie because, well, it's a Batman movie, so the Joker has to be there, right? And if, for instance, if I think in a movie that I didn't really enjoy from the Batman animated movies was Batman the Red Hood. I didn't really like the Joker in that movie. He was there, yes, he provided it, but I didn't really understand his role. Now, obviously, they put him in there because it was part of a story arc, but I just didn't understand why they put him in there, and his motives were still unclear to me. This one, however, though, The Long Halloween, his motives were clear towards the end of the movie, and ultimately, obviously, the movie ended on a cliffhanger, and I was just as confused all the way to the end, and I gotta say, I enjoy that, and I think the fact that they left, at least me, speaking for myself, the fact that I was kind of led in one direction, feeling I was going in the right direction, and ultimately ended up being wrong, just as wrong as Batman was, I feel it was a nice cliffhanger for part 2. Because remember, this movie has a part 2, which is coming out on, I believe, July 27th, which I'm obviously going to be salivating for to see. So for me, I think it was a good movie. I like the fact that it was a more serious Batman. I like the fact that his costume was more serious. I like the fact that the supporting characters like Catwoman and these other guys, I like the fact that they brought a seriousness to the movie. I was kind of tired of seeing the gimmicky kind of Batman. I'm glad that they made this a serious Batman movie. It kind of gave the plot more gravitas, and it made me as a viewer take it more seriously, because it's somebody going around killing people, so that's something serious. So I enjoyed the movie thoroughly, and I like this dark undertone that the movie had. I think that's what Batman is supposed to be all about. So those are just my feelings on that. Now, we don't have a review system, so the only thing I will say is, would I recommend you see the movie? Yes or no? Yes, I would recommend you definitely see the movie. If you're a Batman fan, this is a must see. If you're a casual comic book fan, this is a must see. It's only 125 minutes long, so it's not going to take up too much of your time, but I guarantee if you see this movie, you definitely will enjoy it, and I think it's worth seeing. So what I want to know from you guys is, first of all, what do you think about this review that we just did? Secondly, if you saw the movie, what are your thoughts on the movie? And if you have any critiques that you think on how we can improve this type of content moving forward, we would greatly appreciate that. So once again, this is Charles here from Dreamerspro, wishing you guys an amazing day, and catch you guys on the next episode.